Hey folks, welcome back to the Trinity Episcopal Church YouTube Bible study. I'm Jimmy Abbott, the priest here at Trinity, and today we're looking at the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 3, verses 1 through 12. Now, just earlier this week, I read through the entirety of the Gospel of Matthew in one sitting. I always try to do that during Advent to get myself ready for the Gospel we'll be reading from in the upcoming church year. And one thing really stood out to me about the beginning of Matthew's narrative. It's that he is always pointing back to the prophets and to the Old Testament. And we hear that in the reading for this Sunday. It says, "In those days, John the Baptist appeared in the wilderness of Judea proclaiming, 'Repent, for the kingdom of heaven has come near.' This is the one of whom the prophet Isaiah spoke when he said, 'The voice of one crying out in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord, make his paths straight.'" So what is happening? Why is Matthew always looking back to the Old Testament and to the prophets? Well, I think what's going on is that Matthew sees Jesus not as a new thing, but as the renewal of a very old thing. That Jesus has come to fulfill the prophets. This is also the gospel where Jesus says, "I've not come to abolish the law, I have come to fulfill the law." And so there's a sense of, like he says, fulfillment, completion here. I think a lot of times in Christian circles, we talk about how in the New Testament, we see God doing a new thing. I've even heard this. God changed his mind, so God sent Jesus so that we would love God more. I don't think that's Matthew's understanding. Matthew sees Jesus as the fulfillment, as the natural, logical conclusion of what God has always been doing for God's people, sending messengers and prophets to speak the message of truth and peace and love. So what we see in the gospel is not a new thing, it is a very old thing. So I'd like to turn that back to you for a spiritual reflection. What is something old in your life that God is renewing? Is there an old relationship, an old habit, or perhaps an old way of doing things that is being renewed for you and being given new life? I'd love to hear what you have to say. Please reach out to me. You can send me an email or put a comment there in the comment section. I would love to hear how God is taking something old in your life and making it new, just as Jesus is coming to fulfill all that God had spoken